Week 2 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few tight ends I looked at off the waiver wire. This week, the first guy, Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. So Hunter Henry and Mac Jones a couple years ago had a decent chemistry, but last season it was a down year for Henry, no doubt about it. But in week 1, he had a great game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. 5 catches, 56 yards, and a touchdown. So with Jacoby Myers leaving in free agency, Juju Smith-Schuster not 100%, even though they signed him in free agency was his Patriot team, and Thornton banged up, and Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, and Kendrick Bourne stepped up in this Week 1 ball game. And Henry, we know, going back to his Charger days, he's a guy that can make plays and find the end zone, and that's what he did in Week 1. So Week 2, a pretty decent matchup versus a mediocre Miami Dolphin defense. A game where they're gonna have to try to score to keep up with the Dolphins here. Even though I know this New England defense, for the most part, is a solid unit, but right now, the Patriots offense looked pretty decent in that Week 1 ball game. I know they were down 16-0 early, where they had no choice but to throw. But Hunter Henry made plays, Kendrick Bourne made plays. And right now that Henry's available in 84% of fantasy leagues. He's a tight end I give an ad to this week. The next tight end's Hayden Hurst of the Carolina Panthers. So another team with not a lot of weapons on the offense. I know they got Thielen, the rookie Jonathan Mingo. In this ball game, we know DJ Chark missed it as well. But Hayden Hurst versus former team, the Falcons, in Week 1, had a good ball game. 5 catches, 41 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. In Week 2, they versed another division rival, the New Orleans Saints here, coming to town for the Panthers home opener. So Hayden Hurst, we know he's had some games throughout his career, but he's bounced around the league a little bit as well of late. The Ravens, Falcons, Cincinnati Bengals, and now here with the Panthers. But like I said, a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. And obviously the rookie Bryce Young, he's going to rely on Hayden Hurst. He had a good target share, made some plays, he found the end zone. And right now we know tight end's been an up and down position for many years in fantasy football. So while Hurst right now is available in 89% of fantasy leagues, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and put up these type of numbers every week, but definitely a guy that can contribute to fantasy owners. Next tight end, Zach Ertz of the Arizona Cardinals. So Zach Ertz, after last season, banged up and missed the second half of the year with the knee injury. He came back surprisingly here in Week 1 and had an alright ball game. PPR still 8.10, not bad for a tight end position. 6 catches, 21 yards, 10 targets in the game. So Ertz, he's always a target type of player. Week 2, mediocre matchup versus the New York Giants. For the most part, they've been alright versus tight ends. But this is a Cardinal team that's going to be trailing early and often this season, where Joshua Dobbs is going to have to drop back and throw that football 40 or 50 times. And like I said, Zach Ertz, he always finds a way to get targets, and he finds ways to get open in the middle of the field. So right now that he's available, Ertz in 95% of fantasy leagues, maybe more of a deeper league ad than 10, 12 team formats, but still a tight end that could go out there and I believe help fantasy owners, especially in an offense that's going to throw the football a lot. Next tight end's Luke Musgrave of the Green Bay Packers. So they got a young nucleus over there in Green Bay, and they went off for a nice Week 1 victory, is this Packer team in Soldier Field. And now Week 2, they got a pretty solid matchup at the Atlanta Falcons. So Musgrave, obviously a rookie, and in his first ball game, 3 catches, 50 yards, not a horrible ball game. Like I said, the tight end position's very inconsistent, and you just don't know you're going to get. So Musgrave to put up 8 points, I think is a decent number in PPR leagues. It's part of a young offense. He's going to play majority of the snaps at the position, and him and Jordan Love have a decent rapport as well. So right now, while Musgrave had a decent Week 1 ball game at the position, he's available in 81% of fantasy leagues and has a good matchup. Mentioned that the Atlanta Falcons, who just did give up a touchdown to Hayden Hurst in Week 1, and the 5th and final tight end I looked at off the wire this week here is Noah Gray of the Kansas City Chiefs. To Travis Kelce, I do expect him playing Week 2 for this Chief team, but you never know. And Noah Gray, he made a couple plays in that Week 1 ball game versus the Lions. 3 catches, 31 receiving yards. So right now, well, he's available in 88% of fantasy leagues, and Kelce, we got to see how he reacts throughout a week of practice and running and stuff here to see if he'll be back in the field in Week 2. And a pretty solid ball game, I believe, will be between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chiefs here in Jacksonville. So we're going to take a shot on Gray here, even though Kelce possibly could be back, even though we don't know 100%, especially a tight end part of an offense here like Kansas City. I would do it this week since tight end's a weak position. And yes, there's a few options, but there's not that many options as well. That's a few tight ends I looked at off the wire here in Week 2. of the fantasy football season.